Greetings, it's Ujo Wajet here for another video. We're talking about how to confront your emotions, how to deal with your emotions. And this is one of my favorite topics to cover because I feel like it's so easy to get caught up in your emotions. I want you to think about how often you get overwhelmed, how often you hold yourself back, how often you allow your emotions to decide for you. How often does that happen in your life? When it comes to dealing with your emotions, it's easy to want to avoid them. And you want to be in a situation where, like, emotions are not good or bad. So let's just say that, like, emotions within themselves, right? And there's always a spectrum of emotions, but when it comes to what you actually, like, how your emotions influence your reactions or your inactions, if those reactions or those inactions, if it is something that is holding you back, preventing you from taking a next step in your life, or is if you're holding on to something and it's not serving you in the best way, or it's actually creating, like, slowing you down, then that's when it's something that you want to address. So I feel like I should make that clear first, okay? Like, there's nothing wrong with being emotional. There's nothing wrong with having emotions. We're supposed to have emotions. That's part of who we are in our human form, right? That's actually that is how we communicate when it comes to understanding that our emotions create physiological responses in our bodies. And so it gives us information on, and gives us, like, this a language, so to speak, for lack of better words. Okay. So I want you to, so don't feel like emotions are bad, because they're not. It's about how you're actually processing your emotions, how you deal with them. Are you avoiding your emotions? Are you letting your emotions just drive everything that you're doing? So it's like, are you not grounded in, in your emotions, and they're just overrunning everything, right? So there's a spectrum. Where are you at on that spectrum? And what area of your life do you feel, or do you even recognize that there is something that it's not actually, that you're not seeing this shift or this movement, this growth, this change in your life that you're wanting to see? And how do your emotions reflect that? What does that look like? So that's something I want you to keep in mind. I want you to consider. Now, when it comes to what to actually, like, how you actually deal with them, I want you to first, one of the first things I'll share with you, kind of what I've done. Usually when it comes to recognizing the, like, that there is some type of emotional situation going on that you might be avoiding, the first thing I want you to think about is, what are you noticing there is, like, where are you noticing there's a pattern? Where are you noticing that there is a lack of change? Where are you noticing that you're not being consistent in certain things, or that you keep passing up opportunities, or that you keep like the same thing keeps happening over and over again? There's always some type of pattern, or something that you're avoiding, or it's something that you're not, like, you just keep saying, you keep doing things to kind of shove down those emotions. Sometimes it's eating. Sometimes it's hiding. Like, some of you are supposed to be doing live streams and you're not doing them. What you hiding for? Sometimes you're hiding behind people, you're hiding behind situations, you're hiding behind your kids, you're hiding behind circumstances. Sometimes it shows up as self-sabotage. And so even with that, it's like, okay, why is this happening? What does that actually mean? And when you're avoiding your emotions, if you're not dealing with your emotions, sometimes that's a coping mechanism. So you won't have to, because it feels like you're just protecting this aspect of yourself. Like if I just act like these emotions aren't there, then I feel safe. So with that, it's like you have to start thinking about what is on the other end of you actually working through those emotions. And that's one of the things that I have done over the course of my life is started recognizing like, okay, the first step is there's some type of pattern or loop that's happening over and over again. There's a certain situation or experience where whenever this happens, I keep either responding the same way, or if I keep avoiding or bypassing opportunities that I know that a part of me wants to take, but I don't feel confident in it. I don't feel worthy of it. I don't feel like it's good enough or that I'm qualified enough for it. So whenever I started to recognize, okay, this keeps continuing to show up. Why does this keep happening? It's because there's something in me that I'm not actually fully dealing with. But it was easier to avoid and not deal with the emotion versus confront the emotion. Because that's at the time, that's what felt safe. That's what felt comfortable. That's what felt like, okay, whew, let me just focus on something else. If I focus on something else, then the emotion will go away. It does not go away. The emotion doesn't go away. What actually happens is it actually starts to kind of solidify. I almost think of it as, I think of like energetically. Um, for those of you that are not aware, I do energy work and I see energy sometimes, right? So when certain emotions, the energy, each emotion carries an energy, and so with that, like how that emotion can form within your body, it it starts to kind of like get gelatinous, you know. It'll start like that, or it'll start to form like that if it just sits too long, if you just kind of let it, um, if you're not doing anything with it, and then from that gelatinous form, then it starts to kind of it starts to um, to solidify even more. The more you don't deal with it, right, the more solid it becomes energetically, and more like the more denser. I don't that's the more denser it becomes, like in your actual like body. And this is energetically speaking. And you don't have to understand anything about energy work. You don't have to like be able to see these things. It's like, oh, because Ujo is, has certain intuitive abilities that I can't. No, everybody has intuitive abilities. Everybody has access to be able to understand and connect with their emotions. And also, you all have the ability to deal with and process your emotions, and also feel where these emotions are stored, the emotions that you're not dealing with, the emotions that you're not confronting. And that's what we're going to be doing today. And before we end here today, I'm going to actually take you through an intuitive exercise so you can start to navigate and understand, like, so you can start to navigate and find like where these potential blockages could be in your body. All right. So, and that's the part that's important. And I feel like, for years I've done spiritual work, and I've used my abilities to do certain things. But like, these are things that are within you to do. But it really just comes down to self-awareness and what you're willing to, how willing are you to turn within yourself and recognize that you actually have you're actually capable of working through this. It's possible for you. You can make this happen. And another thing to keep in mind is sometimes your emotions, emotions aren't just something that is present tense. So there are things that have happened in your past, whether that past was yesterday, whether that past was 20 years ago, and also your past lives. So sometimes we have these emotions that are stored within us from a previous lifetime that we're still actually dealing with. And then it shows up as us being triggered. We have certain situations or experiences, and they actually trigger those past life experiences. So it becomes, we have a more intense reaction or response to it. Sometimes it leads you into becoming like feeling depressed or having like an extensive amount of anxiety, which is definitely one of my things. I have a lot of past life anxiety. Okay. So it's like, so those things are real too. So sometimes that is a thing. And it's something I've noticed over the work that I've done over the years. For any of you that are also, kind of intuitive, spiritual healers or things like that, these might be things that you have noticed for yourself or with people that you work with, right? But either way, if it's something that's preventing you, the thing with the emotions, no matter when that solidification happened of the emotion, if it's a past life, if it was 20 years ago, if it was yesterday, it's affecting you in the present state. It's affecting you now. And if it's affecting you now, the more it stays there, the harder it's going to be, the more it's going to slow you down from where you're trying to get to, right? In the future. Me too. I have a lot of past life triggers. Yes. So the past life triggers thing, and welcome Key Wellness. And yeah, one of the things is we have to not have to. We don't have to. You always have a choice. You have the opportunity to explore that, understand that, well, release it. Let me not say understand this, because sometimes that word understanding, you can get stuck in understanding. Oh, let me try to understand this. Let me try to understand this. And really, you don't really need to understand it. You don't need to understand it all the time. Know that it's there, recognize that it's there. We find the root of it, and then you do the work to release it. Now, sometimes there's layers to that release. But either way, the first thing to think about when it comes to recognizing the blockage is, how is this holding you back right now? Do you have an awareness of this? Are you noticing the patterns? Are you noticing the loops? If not, if you're not recognizing that, that is okay. Now you have an awareness that these patterns or how these things show up exist, either your response to certain things or what you might be avoiding, or situations that keep recurring that you're not wanting to experience. And so that is now an indicator. So what areas of your life are you not showing up in the ways that you know you need to be, or the ways that you want to be, or that you wish were possible for you? What are those things? And I want to kind of go into this intuitive work that we're going to do together, because part of it is, when it comes to emotions, it's thinking about it. It's less about thinking and more about feeling, right? And the thing about, if you want to be more aware, then you have to feel. And feeling things don't always feel good. Right? It doesn't always feel good. Emotions are a spectrum, and so are you. But the more that you start to face your emotions and confront them, and recognize that it's just a spectrum, that you don't have to stay in one emotion, that you're supposed to navigate the spectrum. That in the same way, like, yes, you can feel anxiety, you can feel guilt, you can feel depression, you can experience these things. These are real experiences. You can also feel joy, you can feel gratitude, you can feel love, you can feel these things. Both are true. Both are simultaneously true. So let's dive in. I want you to just become very aware. Just draw all of your attention to your body. Just take a moment to do that. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start sharing, just running off a few different emotions, okay? And then I want you can write this down. If you want to share it, you can do that. If you want to share it here in the chat, if you're here live, or if you're watching the replay, you can post it in the comments. Where you actually feel this emotion in your body. If you feel it, you might not, right? And by feeling it, it might be, feeling is subjective. So it can be you can actually feel the feeling. It could feel like a weight or a sensation. It might be like, so a weight, it could be light or heavy. Tingly, you might feel hot versus cold, right? So it varies from person to person. So just draw your attention to your body. And the first emotion that I want you to tune into is fear. 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 As I say that, and you're drawing all your attention to your body, where do you feel that in your body? Fear. And you can ask yourself, where is fear currently stored in my body? Where is it? Where do you feel it? This might be in your energy center. So if you're into like chakras, or if you have an awareness of that, it could be like in your solar plexus. It could be in your root chakra. But keep in mind that chakras are it's just one aspect. Like, you still have your whole form, your whole human form. So a lot of the work I've done over the years, like, in your actual physical body, a lot of people store fear like in their neck. Some have fear in their wrists, in their hands, right? So it could be anywhere in your body. Just kind of scan your body. Where's fear showing up? Scan your whole body. Start from the top of your head. All the way down to the soles of your feet. And then do the same thing from the soles of your feet all the way back up to the top of your head. Where is that? Where do you feel it? Where do you notice a shift? When you draw that awareness of fear, that emotion of fear. Does it feel heavy? Does it feel dark or light? I'm starting to see colors too. So some of you are, you see things with colors. All right. Now the next thing, love. Where is love showing up for you in your body? Love. Draw all your awareness to your body. You can start from the top of your head, scan all the way down. The pace in which you scan your body is up to you. That can vary. Whatever feels good for you. Just like where is love? Where is love stored in your body? Where is that? You might feel that radiating throughout your body. It might be one concentrated place where you're noticing something. And here's the thing when it comes to these emotions is it might feel like it's kind of all over, but then there's one kind of concentrated place that you might feel a weight or you might feel something, and go to that place and lean into that. It's almost like shining a flashlight on that particular area. Where is that? Unworthiness. Unworthiness. Where is unworthiness stored? Do you have unworthiness stored somewhere? Is that an emotion that's showing up for you? Where is that? And it can show up in very interesting places. It could be very specific, like it could be one concentrated place. You can have it in a few places. If you're noticing things in a few different places, where do you feel it the most? Just pick one area to kind of lean in. You can address like the other areas later. And this is about recognizing that it's there. You're allowing your conscious awareness to tune in and be like, okay, I see you. You're here. I feel it. You feel it, you see it, however it shows up for you. And if at any point you feel stuck, let me know. You can drop a message or a question in the comments, and then I'll respond and give you some support on that. Now I want you to pick an emotion. Oh, you know what's coming up? Overwhelm. Overwhelm. Where's overwhelm coming up? Somebody is pinging me to say overwhelm. Where is overwhelm showing up? Where are you overwhelmed? Where is that? Where is that in your body? Where is that? And sometimes it can feel like a flood. Like as soon as you hear the word, as soon as you lean into it, it feels like you just got like a bucket of water just got dumped on you. It can feel like a flood of water flooding in. It can feel like that. But I want you to be mindful that you're just recognizing, you're just drawing attention to what is within you right now and how it shows up for you. Take a moment to breathe. And overwhelm is one of those things that can feel like it can show up everywhere, right? But again, where do you feel it the most? Where's the root of that overwhelm? Where do you feel it? Make sure you're writing this down in your journal. Where are you feeling this? Disappointment. Disappointment. Disappointed. Where in your body is disappointment? Where is that stored? Where do you feel it? What area of your life are you not doing what you need to be doing because you are avoiding the possibility of disappointment, or where you feel disappointed in yourself already and you're just like, no? Where are you disappointed for things that you've already done or not done? Where is that? Does it feel heavy? Does it feel light? Gratitude. Where is gratitude? Where is that? Where do you feel that within your body? Where is it showing up for you? How does it feel? Now, from that point, we've gone through a few different areas of the spectrum of emotion. We talked about fear, we talked about overwhelm, we talked about, love, we talked about gratitude, these different things, right? Now, all of these things can be stored within you. And where it shows up, it can show up in different areas. And again, this is just you recognizing what is there and how it shows up. From this point, and you can always revisit this, and I encourage you to do that. Revisit this. You can go deeper into this and start writing down what this feels like, how it shows up. Because the first step to confronting your emotions and dealing with your emotions is actually recognizing what's actually there. You can also take scenarios or situations that are currently happening for you, and then ask yourself, what emotion is tied to this that's holding me back? Greetings, sweet forest. Good morning. So what is that? What does that look like? This is something you can ask yourself throughout the day, in your meditations, right? Whatever it is. And then through that process, once you recognize it, then you can go into exploring where this all stems from. Like, what is actually the source of this? What is the source? What is the root? Where does this stem from? What experience, what situation has actually created this in the first place? And I talked about earlier, it could be something that happened in your past. Your past could be yesterday, it could be an hour ago, it could be 20 years ago, it could be from a past life. But what is that? And getting to the root, that can also be a process. It varies from person to person, from what emotion you're working through, and also where you're trying to get to. So the important thing to be mindful of is really looking at how these current emotions that you were not previously dealing with, that now you recognize, what is that slowing you down from doing? What is that preventing you from doing? What is that stopping you from doing? What are those things? Because that's what it's really about. It's so you can get to that next, so you can get over that stuckness, so you can get out of that stuckness. Because, like I mentioned, emotions are a spectrum. We get to experience all of these things. But when you're avoiding certain emotions, when you're avoiding and you're not confronting things that are actually holding you back from taking that, stepping into that, like that next phase of your life, saying yes to yourself, to stop putting yourself on the back burner, to stop justifying why you're still in the same place. Do you want to still be in the same place you were? Where you're at in your life right now? Do you want to still be in that same situation 2 years from now? Is that where you want to be? If not, then what's in the way? What are the things that you have been saying? Oh, this is what I really want to do this, or these dreams and these thoughts and these ambitions that you have, and you've just been sitting on them. Why are you sitting on them? What are you doing? Why is that happening? Why are you in the same place, or maybe even worse off than you were a year ago or 2 years ago? Why? And this isn't about judgment. This is about reflection and recognizing that there's something. It's not simply or only about like circumstance, right? A lot of things have happened over the past few years, right? This is not about circumstance. We're looking at the things when it comes to believing in yourself, recognizing what's true for you now. What is true for you? Just because it's true doesn't mean you can't change it. Maybe it's true that you have certain emotions or triggers that are creating a reaction that's causing you to just not move forward, whatever that is, or not show up as big as you want to, or not like go all in and start the business, or not go all in and like, start recognizing that you want to get promoted in your job. Maybe it's, however you want to change your life. It's not always career focused. Maybe it's, you have this, like, what is your calling? What is that? How do you want to live your life? How do you want to show up in your life? Because that's what this is about. In what ways do you know that, like, your intuition, your spirit, your spirit guides, whatever that word is, whatever you're into, that like you're feeling called to do something more, you're feeling led to take this next direction in your life, or you're just tired, or maybe you're just tired of how life has been and you just want something else. You're tired of struggling. You're tired of being tired. You're tired of not having no energy. You're just tired of like not experiencing something more. Maybe you don't even know what that more is. It's okay to not know. But what you do know and what is true is that, like, what is it that you no longer want to experience? So if you're at a point where, man, Ujo, I don't know exactly, I don't have enough clarity on like the direction that I want to take, then definitely check out my previous videos. But just know that you can still, even if you don't have clarity on the future fully just yet, I know you have clarity on what you don't want. I know you have clarity on that. I know you don't, I know you know what you don't want to experience anymore. I know that. I can put some money on that one. Okay. I'm sure you could tell me right now what you don't want to experience anymore, even if you don't know the direction that you want to take in your future. You don't know what that calling is for you. You don't know what you want your life to look like a year from now. Or you don't feel confident enough in yourself to even trust that you can hold a vision of sorts, right? You can't hold that vision of seeing yourself in greatness, or in seeing yourself feeling free, seeing yourself being at peace, and and just being surrounded by love, and being just financially free, being just like in this state of gratitude and luxury, and just being in flow, just confidently like living, right? Living in your truth, living in your purpose, doing something that you enjoy. Maybe you don't know what you enjoy because you're so tired, because you're always angry, frustrated, and just stressed out and doing the things that you feel like you have to do to survive. I get that, but listen, right? Like, I know you know what you don't want. I know what you don't want to experience. So what is the opposite of that? What could the opposite of that look like? You don't want to be tired anymore? Okay, what could the opposite, what could not being tired look like for you? What could that look like for you? What could that feel like for you? What could that feel like for you? If it were possible, what could that feel like? Maybe you don't want, maybe you're tired of dealing with anxiety. Listen, I deal with anxiety. I have PTSD. I have all types of stuff going on. Okay. And just because I experience these things, like I mentioned, both can be true. You can experience emotions and things that are on the complete opposite end of the spectrum. Both can be true. There's going to be moments where, yeah, the anxiety shows up, the depression shows up, the fear shows up, the overwhelm shows up, the unworthiness shows up. And you can experience something else. But you have to start recognizing what's there. If you allow or continue to allow certain emotions to consume you all the time, emotions and experiences, if they're consuming you to the point of becoming gelatinous, right? Where it's like you can't move. Like, it feels like you're just kind of like, I'm just thinking of Jello right now, right? Like, this energy starts to solidify, and it's just like you're just kind of shaking around. You're not actually moving. You know, it's like it feel like you're not actually in a form energetically to be in flow. Jello does not flow. It jiggles around. I hope this analogy is helping somebody. I hope this analogy is helping somebody. But I just keep seeing Jello. It's like, if you think of like flow, if you want to flow, have flow in your life and freedom and fluidity, right? Jello doesn't do that. You need another source. It needs to be in a different form. And this is about transmuting. But you can't do anything if you can't do something if you don't recognize what's there. And even if you don't know what's possible for you on the other end, start to ask yourself, well, what could be possible for me? Even if I don't believe this now, what could be possible for me if I no longer want to feel this fear or this overwhelm or this unworthiness? What if I did start to feel worthy of the things that I desire? What could I, right? Start to fill in those things. What if I could, what could I do? What could that look like? Start asking yourself that. Write those prompts down. And as you start to do this work, reflect on that. Then start tuning into what it could look like. Start envisioning it. Start to imagine it. Just be curious about it. You can always change it, right? You can change your mind. You can change your mind. Okay? But we have to get in the practice of recognizing what makes us uncomfortable. You have to face these things. And I want to make clear that you don't have to do this alone. You don't have to do this by yourself. Don't feel like this is something that the requirement is solitude. No, you can seek support. Friends, family, somebody that you trust. It could be, if you're at a point where you're experiencing something and you want to work with a counselor, then do that. You want to work with a coach, then do that. So you don't only have to do this by yourself. This is just one way to recognize this is something that you can do. And if you know you want additional support, then you can do that too. Both are true. Both are possible. So just something to keep in mind. And if you need some resources, let me know for that. But at the end of the day, it's time. It's time for you to learn who you are, to remember who you are, and become that next version of you. What is that? Where do you want to be a year from now? Where do you want to be 2 years from now? Where do you want to be 5 years from now? What's the one thing that you're tired of experiencing? What is that? Start there. Start there. Start with the emotions that are associated with that experience that you no longer want anymore, and then go from there. It has been a pleasure. I will see y'all on the next one.